Welcome to the Donor Charm podcast, where we explore the people, stories, strategies, and technologies shaping the future of nonprofit fundraising. Each episode, we sit down with nonprofit leaders, development professionals, board members, donors, event experts, and community partners to talk about what it really takes to build stronger relationships, raise more money, and create lasting impact. From donor engagement and gala best practices to storytelling, sponsorships, board involvement, live appeals, digital fundraising, and the tools that make it all easier, this podcast is designed to give nonprofits practical insight that they can actually use. At Donor Charm, we believe fundraising should feel more connected, more intentional, and more human. Because behind every campaign, every event, and every donation is a mission worth supporting and the community ready to show up. So whether you're leading a nonprofit, serving on a board, planning your next fundraiser, or simply just passionate about helping good causes grow, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Donor Charm podcast.
Well, we're really excited today to have the Vice President of Marketing and Communications of the El Paso Chihuahuas and Locomotive FC, Angela Olivas, who we've known her father, Bernie Olivas, for many, many, many years. So it's great to meet you and have you here.
Good to meet you too. Thank you.
My name's Andy Watley, co-host with Jordan Barron, my business partner,
thanks for being with us.
who is going to join us all today. And we're going to have hopefully an interesting conversation about your organization. And why don't you dive into the first question, Jordan?
Yes, I think you already hit it on the point. Your family is pretty synonymous with sports in El Paso and just the community in general. Did you pretty much know growing up and moving into your career that sports was something you wanted to get into?
It was. When I talked to kids in high school and career programs, I let them know I wanted to do two things with my life. It was either going to be a presidential press secretary or go into sports. I've grown up around it. My uncle played sports. My dad played flag football, coached. And then we played sports too. And he was a great mentor and a coach. And he was the official scorekeeper at the Diablos and tagged my sister and I along at every game. So we grew up at Dudley Field. And then at 16, he walked in and said, "I got you a job." And it was working at Cohen. And ever since then, my love for sports was built. I started working for the Diocese of El Paso for their boys and girls basketball team since I was 12. And I went straight into working in sports. It was something that I was very natural at and very good at.
Sure.
And I think it is because I grew up around it so much.
It's in your family blood. You have
It
sports
is.
in your flow.
That's exactly
the blood
right.
in your veins say sports.
There's nothing else I could imagine. I did volunteer for some political campaigns and realized that it wasn't for me.
It's a different kind of sport.
Exactly.
Were you with the Diablos when it was still Jim Paul?
Absolutely.
So
A
you know
very
Jim.
good friend of mine. Grew up with his boys. His boys, Robbie and Taylor, were the same age as my sister and me. And so grew up there. He even still remembers taking us on a fishing trip when we were little. And it's just something that I've always been a part of. And when AAA baseball, I was working at UTEP Athletics at the time, and when AAA baseball and Mount Star Sports Group announced that they were bringing it back to El Paso, affiliated baseball back to El Paso, not independent, I knew I had to be a part of this, and I applied, and I it's a lifelong dream to work in minor league baseball.
Yeah, and the Diablos weren't AAA, were they? Were they just
They
2A?
were AA,
AA, yeah.
until
Yeah.
2004, I believe, when they were moved to Joplin, Missouri, and then they became independent baseball for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
And you spent, if I'm not mistaken, about a decade or more at UTEP and
A
working
little
with
over a decade.
with the athletics program.
I did. Made my way up. I started as a volunteer, became full-time, and then eventually was running the department before I left. At the time I left, I was one of 5 female personnel in sports information to have my job, which was to oversee football. And I was thankful enough to go through the Mike Price era, and Mike Price and his coaching staff. They were just phenomenal to work with. I went through spring with Coach Kugler, and then after spring is when I made the move to AAA baseball.
And what's the biggest difference, I guess, you see between collegiate sports and like the professional world?
It's very different. To be frank, I could say it's a little bit more. We have a little bit more freedom to do things. So we can put dog heads on jerseys and not get scrutinized for it because it's minor league baseball. Whereas in the collegiate realm, you have to go through your conference, through NCAA, through the university. It's a lot of check the boxes before you can actually do something. And I don't know if that's how it is now. I look at what the NIL has done to collegiate sports, and I'm pretty sure it's very different than the 14 years that I've been out of collegiate sports. But I loved and I enjoyed the freedom I had to be creative, and to not have to be in a boundary and put in a box. We encourage everybody, including my staff, who's the promotion staff, the marketing staff, the social staff, the content creation, to think outside the box. Let's go crazy and let's see if it works. And if it works, then that's great. If it doesn't, well, at least we know we tried.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I love, is that there's no red tape in trying to figure out what the process should be. It's let's just create our own process, figure it out. And if it's great, it's great. Let's do it.
Do you see the impact on professional sports, given that you're on that side of the coin now, as we've seen collegiate sports become compensated? And that's kind of a new era of athletes being paid at the collegiate
It's
level.
Professionalism at the most amateur level, right? So it's basically watching professional athletes at this point. It's just a little bit more on the amateur level, and as far as competition. But when you look at the NIL and what it's become, and these student athletes making millions of dollars before they graduate, I have my own opinions about the NIL because I've seen student athletes grow and I've seen their journeys, and I think that I appreciate the ones that worked hard, understood that they had a free education, went for their education, and then the possibility and maybe opportunity to move on to a professional level. I don't know that the competition and looking at it from the professional standpoint as an athlete, and I'm just looking at it from a $1 million level, right? Where student athletes are getting paid at this point. But I look at soccer, because we can control soccer and we control our players and our staff, unlike Chihuahuas, which is completely controlled by the Padres. We have no control over any of our players, any of our coaching staff, any of the support staff. We control the fans, we control the venue, we control the promotions, but the Padres control everything else.
Do the players work for the Padres
They
and
do.
are assigned to you as opposed to work for
They're
you?
assigned by as
Padres.
part of the player development contract through Major League Baseball.
So is that why you can say, hey, let's kick somebody up to the majors? And
We
they go to
don't
Padres?
have anything to do with that. That is 100% Padres. Padres decide, they buy the flights, they put them here. We have nothing to do with it.
And they send them back sometimes?
They do. Absolutely. But that is 100% Padres. We have nothing to do with our baseball team at all, other than making sure that they have a great clubhouse to be in.
This is my own question for my edification, because I've always been curious about this, but you may not be able to answer it. But I've always wondered, if a player comes in at the AAA level, then obviously they're kind of entering the professional baseball arena for the first time, and their salary levels or whatever they are at that moment in time. But they get really good, and all of a sudden Padres say, you know what, we're kicking them up to the majors.
Correct.
And obviously their salary goes probably
Correct.
up significantly.
They get put on the 40-man roster.
What happens if 2 years go by and they're not playing quite as well, and they push them back down to the AAA level? Do their salaries go back down?
No. So once you make the 40-man roster, you're on that minimum salary. So you're there. They can, however, take away that 40-man position for you. And if that happens, then you go back to whatever salary is. You have to remember that Major League Baseball has different levels. It's not just AAA, but it starts at collegiate bat league.
Yeah.
It's your fall league. It's Dominican Republic League. It's single A, high A, single A, double A, triple A, and then you get to Major League Baseball. The way I describe it is it's your level of classroom, right? You go to daycare, then from daycare you go to Head Start, then from Head Start you go to elementary, then middle school, high school, college, graduate, and then you're a professional. It's the same system. USL on the soccer side is not that way. Or MLS for that reason. Premier League or La Liga or Liga MX or Bundesliga, any other league around the world does a tiered system, and you have to win in order to play. In America, we don't have that until probably about 2028 when USL starts their relegation promotion with USL Pro, USL Championship, USL League One, and then there's the one right below it, and the name escapes me, but right now in the realm of soccer, there is no promotion relegation in America. And I think that's why Americans aren't as invested in soccer as they are in Europe or in Mexico. It's because there's nothing, you're rooting for that team. It's almost like you're rooting for your football team, but most people would rather navigate towards an NFL team than they would soccer. I think when relegation promotion starts with USL, you're going to see that shift in people wanting to see and cheer for something to be promoted to or to avoid relegation. Right? I'm a huge Nottingham Forest fan in the Premier League. We came close to relegation this year. Thank goodness we did not. We survived the drop is what we call it. We survived the drop. But I think when you look at it from a professional level versus amateur, I think they're starting to blur, and the lines are starting to blur now that the NIL is in place.
And so I guess going back to like your organization and the Chihuahuas and the Locomotives, you being one of the like original hires, what's that experience like kind of creating the brand? I mean, you have ultimate control over all of that, and that's what people identify with, and that's how they identify you.
It's been a fun process. So when I came to the Chihuahuas, I was a part of the team that saw the brand come to fruition. And it was my team that made sure that brand went worldwide.
Yeah.
October 22nd was the best day and probably one of the worst days of my life. Seeing the number of threats that we received on social when we announced, you have to have thick skin. And one of the greatest things that Brandios, who created our brand at the time, said, just keep filling the bucket. Whatever you do, you fill the bucket. Don't empty the bucket. In other words, do everything you can to get people invested. Do contests. Just keep filling that bucket and people will buy into it. So that's what we did. Show us your Chihuahuas. Show us what your dog looks like. Does your dog look like Chico? Right. Show us out in the community of the merchandise. And people started, it was almost like they were given permission to love the brand. And then we became the #1 selling brand in all of minor league baseball. And we have been for 14 years.
Wow. That's impressive.
It is. And because we just keep filling the bucket. And we also make sure that we're not staying still. So in 2019, we came out with the Howling Dog logo. We have alternate identities like bootmakers. We are a part of the Copa de la Diversión in Major League Baseball. So we were the Margaritas, now we're the Matachines. So we don't like to stay still. It's what can we evolve to next? What can we look at in our culture and in our city and then make that evolution, right? So Bootmakers is a great example. We're the #1 bootmaker capital of the world. You look at the history of bootmakers in the world, and it really stems from El Paso. Yeah. And so why not become a bootmaker, a theme night? And be able to create merchandise and on field and our new era caps and really transform into bootmaker night. And then we did the same thing with margaritas and matachines. And we have some more that are coming in, and we're excited to unveil come 2027, 2028. And we're already looking at 2028 and seeing what can we become, what's going to be relevant. Let's look at our culture. What are we going to be doing in 2028? Because if we don't start looking into the future and ahead, we're going to fall behind, and we never want to fall behind.
Yeah. And you guys are kind of like storytelling in a way, and you're telling, I guess, the story of El Paso and the culture here through your guys' branding and connecting with the community that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just said I love the Chihuahuas name, by the way. Yeah. So I was one of those people in the beginning where I thought, really? Chihuahuas? Are you kidding me? And I thought, didn't like the name. Within 6 months, I loved the name. So I went from completely thinking, what a crazy thought that was. Who thought of that? And then to totally loving it now. And I love the brand today. And I think it's exciting that we have this in El Paso. But it makes me think this. I have a lot of people ask me that aren't baseball fans or even live sports fans, which I, of course, am one. I am a fan. But are the Chihuahuas a financially successful team
We are.
today? Yes.
We are. I think you look at the scope of everything. So it's not just about the individual ticket, right? We also sell season seat memberships. We sell groups. We sell corporate partnerships. We sell concessions. We sell merchandise. We have a foundation that we've built in order to give back to the community. So and then you look at our soccer team, which also has a great brand behind it with the Locomotive.
Yeah.
And you look at the Locomotive. I'm sorry, I turned off my ringer.
Go and answer it. I'm just kidding.
Like, what? But I look at Locomotive, and we did the same thing. It was, how can we build a brand of soccer, right? And how can we make that successful? And not only that, we had to make it successful in a ballpark,
Right.
It's not a soccer specific stadium. We need to figure out how do we build revenue off of a soccer team that plays in a baseball stadium. And I think with the team that we have built and everything that we have done in order to get our brand out there, we've built that.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to look to the future. We hired a new president who loves soccer. He's been here for 3 months and loves El Paso. And we as a staff have bought into his theories, and we've bought into his systems, and he's been great. And he wants to build a soccer specific stadium. And, yes, it's down the future and it's not something that's immediate, but when we're looking at how we need to get there, it's by generating revenue. And we've done a really good job with doing that.
Yeah. And I got to say, at least like personally, whenever I go to a Locomotives game or a Chihuahuas game, the crowds are different. The energy is really different. But I mean, both games are exciting. And
it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
I've gotten to where I would have to say that I'm probably now 60-40 on the soccer side, because it's so exciting to go to those games. I mean,
it really is.
Not that Chihuahuas are not exciting.
No, 100%.
But it's baseball.
A different level.
And I've been to baseball for years, and for me, soccer is a new thing to do live, because I never did it before
Exactly.
Before Locomotive.
And I'll be honest with you, I was never a soccer fan until I was told I had to be a soccer fan, because if you're going to do marketing and PR for a soccer team,
you love it. Yeah.
You have to love it. And you have
sure.
to be able to look at it very differently, which is how I became a Nottingham Forest fan. I decided I was going to follow a Premier League team, and I went on the Premier League website and I thought, Nottingham Forest, like that's very Disney, and it's got a cute little tree and little stars. Little did I know what the stars actually meant until now. But I wanted to see what it was like to become a fan,
right?
Because soccer fans are so fanatical. You look at the World Cup and what's happening, and I wanted to be like, oh my goodness, I want to know what this is like. So I got myself a Peacock subscription. I woke up early. I watched every Nottingham Forest game. I became a diehard. Elliot Anderson's going to be playing for England. I'm so excited. And Man City's trying to take him right now, and we keep saying no. I have the Jerry Jones of ownerships with our owner, but it's okay. But now I've become a fan, and I can actually sit and talk soccer. And so when soccer happened, I had to really and get myself into soccer and really indulge myself in soccer too. Like make it an indulgence. Like, oh, this is like ice cream, and really transform my brain into thinking that, so that I can learn to market and PR for soccer.
Is WADAS part of your organization as well, or is it completely separate?
It's separate. It used to be under a Mountain Star Sports Group umbrella, because Mountain Star Sports Group at one time did have a small stake in it. We have since moved away from that, and new ownership has taken over. But that's not to say we don't still have a partnership. We work off each other. We try to do what we can to get our fans over there, and they do what they can to get their fans over here, and we work hand in hand very closely. So
it's not part of the Foster family?
It is.
Anymore?
It's part of the Foster and De La Vega family, but not Mountain Star Sports Group, which is Hunt's, Foster's, and De La Vega.
Right. So it's just a separate organization. They're still involved.
That's
in
correct.
Some cross ownership.
Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned something right now that I think a lot of people don't know about, is your guys' like philanthropic side of the organization. You guys have a foundation, which As you mentioned, like you guys give a ton back to the community, and I don't think a lot of people associate that with the sports groups, but how does that work? I mean, what does that look like for you guys? What kind of work do you guys do?
So we, the Mountain Star Sports Group Foundation, DBA El Paso Chihuahuas Foundation, DBA El Paso Locomotive Foundation, I have to say that.
Yeah.
We were a 501c3, and everything that goes into that through our 50/50 platform, through our jersey auctions, thanks to Donor Charm, and any other fundraising goes directly to the foundation. It does not go into the profitable side of Mountain Star Sports Group. And I think that's a very big misconception is people see, 50/50 and it goes straight to Mountain Star. It does not. It goes straight to the foundation. As part of a 501c3, you have to donate that money by the end of the year or you get penalized by the government. So what we do is we turn around and we assist organizations in El Paso and nonprofit. It has to be local. All money that we raise stays in our community. It stays in the Borderplex region. It is very important, not only to our ownership, but to our staff as well, especially those of us who were born and raised here, to be able to give back to our community. We want to say that we're more than just baseball, we're more than just soccer, but we're a community partner. And because of that, we built the foundation in order to be able to do this. I sit on the foundation board, and so we make those decisions, but we're able to do scholarships. So we have the All-Star Scholarship that we'll be awarding at the end of July to 5 seniors that are going off to college. And so we have our All-Star Scholarship. We also made a donation to La Nube when it was first started because we wanted to make sure that kids, because when you think of minor league baseball, right, you think of children and going to baseball with your parents and they introduce you to the sport. And then not only that, you have like all these kids that are in youth soccer. So we did that, but we also help United Way. We help Animal Rescue. We help Humane Society. We do whatever we can to give back to the community and make sure that every dollar that we raise is also every dollar that we donate.
I'm wondering if you might give at least the process procedure or where somebody would go. If you're a nonprofit in El Paso and you're serving the community and you're wanting to apply, is there a place on the website or someplace where they go to make applications?
On both websites, actually, there is a donation button under, I believe on Chihuahuas, it's under community, and in Locomotive, I think it's also under community, and there's donation requests where you can go in and request. If it's a very large donation, it will go before the foundation. And then the foundation board has to approve it based off of the number of funds that are currently in the foundation and available. That's
well, it's
correct.
cool that you guys do that because giving back to the community is everything. And obviously with Donor Charm and us, it's near and dear to our heart for sure. But,
exactly. And it's so good to be able to see everything stay local. We've had national companies that reach out to us and we just want all the money to stay in El Paso, in Las Cruces, in Juarez. And that's one of the things that is very important to us is that it goes back into the community that's built us. So we want to build the community that's helped build us.
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, do you have I always ask this question, but do you have like a specific story that maybe like you can think of where you guys help somebody or, a specific...
The ones that come to mind, you should see these scholarship applications. There are some that have made me cry. There's a lot of kids out there who may never have the opportunity to go on to college, given their circumstances. And it may not be financial, but it could be emotional. And to be able to see these kids grow, we've circled back with some of them, and where they are now is just remarkable. And to me, I find that so rewarding that we were able to help students who would not have otherwise had the means to help them get through a college education and then become successful right after. That's probably one of the most rewarding donations that we've ever done is the All-Star Scholarship.
That's a good one. That really
and
enriches.
it's in memory of Yolanda Ariola, who founded Southwest University. Passed away tragically in 2020. Just didn't wake up from a nap. But she was a great supporter of Chihuahuas and Locomotive. Her family still is. Ben actually helps decide on who we're going to give the recipient to. But we thought when we built this scholarship, we thought what better way than to honor somebody who was so instrumental in building education for those who could not otherwise afford it.
Right.
And that's how Southwest University came to be. It started as a trade, and then they've grown exponentially.
Yeah.
And so to be able to see how that impacts youth in our city is really rewarding as a foundation member.
Given that we have a couple minutes left here before we wrap up, is there something that we didn't ask that you want to state about either the foundation or Mountain or Locomotive or EP Chihuahuas that you think is important for people to know?
I think it's, if you haven't been out to Chihuahuas or Locomotive match, I think you're missing out on what El Paso is. I think, when Chihuahuas first started and people were upset about bringing it to downtown El Paso, we knew that bringing it to downtown El Paso was going to be an epicenter for what we thought would be growth. And you look at the growth that has happened since, right?
Yep.
And the renovations that are happening in downtown and how people are coming. And you look at Winterfest, and it's so great to walk around downtown during the winter and see all these people. And you look at Beauty and the Beast is here this weekend, right? But we also have soccer, and it's no longer and I'm a born and raised El Pasoan, and in my age back in the day, it was people left because there was nothing to do in El Paso, but we've come here. We've put it in an epicenter where people can come and there are things to do in El Paso. And it's so rewarding as somebody who's born and raised here, whose family is from here, to be a part of something that is bigger than me. And I'm just so blessed from our ownership group to our leadership that they have trusted me and my team to continue to expand our brand, whether it's Chihuahuas, Locomotive, or Foundation, even Leg Up Entertainment, to be able to entertain and bring people to downtown El Paso from the city and from outside the city too. And it's extremely rewarding, and I couldn't be more proud to be in El Paso.
It's had huge impact in El Paso because we've always been one of those cities where people said, like you said, there's nothing to do. They want to move to Austin, they're going to move to Dallas or California, Phoenix, but we're getting competitive. There are things to do here. We're a happening place. And it's funny, I used to go to conventions and people would see my El Paso tag. And I wasn't born here. I grew up here, but I wasn't born here. I'm from Los Angeles. But they would say, "You're from El Paso." "Oh, sorry." And now when I would be somewhere and people see El Paso, they go, "You know what I hear? It's a great city." El Paso has really, its image has completely transformed across the country and how people perceive us. And they see the border craziness and some of the stuff that we're in the news for. But most people have a very high impression of El Paso now. And I think it's because of things like the Chihuahuas and the Locomotive. And,
I think so too.
Yeah.
I truly feel that, because you look at 14 years ago and nobody would have been talking about that.
Yeah.
But now you look at what's happened in 14 years. And you see the change that's happened, and it's becoming a thriving city that we've always dreamed that it would be.
You want to offer the websites real quick for both
Absolutely.
teams?
So for all things Southwest University Park, it's southwestuniversitypark.com. For Chihuahuas, it's epchihuahuas.com. For Locomotive, it's eplocomotivefc.com. Or you can go to mountainstarsportsgroup.com.
You have a lot of presence online. We'll put it on the screen.
I know.
We'll put it on the screen so everybody can grab it.
epchihuahuas.com and eplocomotivefc.com are the places to go.
Well, Angela, we really appreciate you joining us
Absolutely.
today.
Thank you for having me.
We also appreciate your support of our organization, donorcharm.org. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work together.
I love it. I think I tell people if you need a auction platform, this is the easiest way to do it, and it's user friendly. And I can't say that enough. It's so user friendly.
We love that endorsement.
Yeah.
Do you get that, folks?
Exactly.
Well, she said it. That makes it real. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the Donor Charm podcast. At Donor Charm, we believe fundraising is more than just a transaction. It's about building trust, strengthening relationships, and giving people a meaningful way to support the causes they care about. We hope today's conversation gave you practical ideas, fresh perspective, and a little inspiration to bring back to your own organization, board, event, or campaign. To learn more about Donor Charm and how we help nonprofits create better donor experiences, visit donorcharm.org. Until next time, keep building connections, telling meaningful stories, and creating impact that lasts.